They'll look for you in empty eyes, in shadows where your spirit lies. A spark they lost, a fire they killed, a ghost that lingers, unfulfilled. In every face, they'll search in vain to fill the void, escape the pain. But none will match the strength you bear, your scars, your fire, beyond compare. You know what it's like to be replaced, don't you? You put your heart out there, bleed a little, maybe a lot, and they don't care. They don't see it like you do. Not anymore. And the cruel part? They'll act like they didn't take a part of you with them when they walked away. But here's the joke of it all. You keep looking at the world like it's supposed to make sense, like it's got any kind of order. But this whole place is just chaos, wrapped up in a pretty little box, waiting to be torn open. So you're left wondering, why am I not enough? They'll go and try to fill that space you left. Yeah, sure they will. They'll search and pick and patch themselves up with somebody new, hoping that somehow they can just move on like you never existed. But you know what? That ghost you left behind, it's still haunting them. They'll be searching for you in the eyes of everyone they meet, thinking that someone else will ever make them feel the way you did. But here's the truth, kid. Nobody will ever be you. And they'll feel it every single time they look into someone else's eyes, hoping for a spark they once had with you, and finding nothing but a cheap imitation. And that's the real tragedy, isn't it? Like, they never realize what they had till it's too late. But you're still here, left with all that pain and wondering if you ever mattered. But that pain you feel, it's the one thing that proves you cared. It's proof you were alive, that you fought, that you tried. And if they didn't appreciate that, well, that's their curse to bear, not yours. See, you walk around every day thinking that maybe, just maybe, someone out there actually understands. You're hoping that the world isn't just one big joke with everyone wearing a mask to cover up what they're too scared to show. But here's the punchline, kid. Nobody's as real as you. Nobody knows the weight you carry, the scars you got etched in your bones from all the times you were pushed down and still got back up. You're sitting here wondering why it hurts so much, why it feels like every part of you is being torn apart from the inside. But that's the beauty of it, you see? Pain, real pain. It digs in deep, doesn't let you forget. It's that constant reminder that you gave a damn, that you cared enough to hurt. They'll walk around like they're invincible, but you're the one who's been broken and still walks on two legs, breathing through the ashes of everything they took from you. They can't handle what you hold. They'll never know what it's like to carry that burden, to wear those scars like a badge. And while they're busy looking for cheap fixes, for someone to bandage up their emptiness. You're here, owning every bit of that brokenness. You've been torn down piece by piece, and yet you're still here. That's strength they'll never understand. You think they'll replace you? Oh, they'll try. They'll search high and low, go through a dozen faces, looking for someone who can mirror what you gave them. But every time, they'll find themselves staring at hollow eyes, empty souls, people who don't know the first thing about loyalty or fighting for something that matters. And that's when they'll remember you. That's when they'll feel the emptiness eating them alive, like a hole that no one else can fill. So, yeah, they'll look for you in every face they pass, hoping to find that spark you gave them. But here's the twist. No one's ever gonna make them feel what you did. You were the real deal. The one who didn't flinch. Who stood by them even when it meant sacrificing a piece of yourself. And now they get to live with that emptiness, that reminder that they lost something they'll never get back. You want to know the cruelest part of it all? It's that one day they'll finally realize what you were to them. They'll understand just how rare you were, how much they took for granted. But by then, it'll be too late. By then, they'll be haunted by your memory. A ghost that lingers in every corner of their mind, reminding them of what they'll never have again. And that's your victory. Because while they're out there, going through life, trying to pretend like they don't care, like you were just another face in the crowd, deep down, they'll feel it every single day. They'll carry the weight of your absence, a reminder of the fire you burned into them that no one else can replace. But here's the thing you gotta get through your head. They're not your problem anymore. They walked away, left you standing in the ashes of what was, thinking they could just pick up and move on. So let them run. Let him find out just how empty the world is without you in it. And don't you dare go chasing after them. Don't give them the satisfaction of thinking they broke you, 'cause they didn't. They just reminded you of what you're capable of surviving. You're stronger than they ever gave you credit for. They saw someone they thought they could replace, someone they thought would be easy to forget. But you're a storm they can't escape. You're the ghost they'll keep running from, but never outrun. The voice in their head that reminds them they lost something they'll never find again. And that's power, kid. That's the kind of power that comes from knowing you were irreplaceable. From knowing that you left a mark so deep, no one else will ever come close. So let them search. Let them waste their time trying to find another you. 'Cause in the end, all they're gonna find is regret, emptiness, and the shadow of what you were. So hold your head up. Wear those scars with pride. They're the proof that you're alive, that you're real in a world full of fakes. They're the reminder that you were brave enough to care, strong enough to hurt, and wise enough to move on. And that's something they'll never understand. You think they didn't know what they were doing when they left you there, alone, in the mess they made? You think they cared? Nah. They just walked away like it was easy, like you were nothing more than a chapter to close. But that's the joke, isn't it? They think they can move on and forget, like you didn't leave a scar that'll never fade. They don't know what it's like to feel the weight of loneliness, to feel that hollow ache in your chest every single day. But you do. You know it too well. And that makes you stronger than they'll ever be. Look at you. You're still here, standing in the ruins, with every piece of your heart shattered, but still beaten. They left you for dead, but here you are, refusing to give them the satisfaction of seeing you broken. That takes guts. That takes strength they'll never understand, 'cause they've never had to fight for something real. They don't know what it's like to feel, really feel, and still get up every day, still face the world with scars on display. But you're different. You've got the kind of fire that can't be extinguished, no matter how many times they try to snuff it out. They think they're replacing you. They think they can fill the gap you left with just anyone. Let them try. Let them waste their time searching for a shadow, chasing after something they'll never find again. 'Cause the truth is, nobody else has your fire, your loyalty, your soul. Nobody else could look into the darkness and find the strength to carry on. You've been through hell, and instead of running away, you stood your ground, took every punch, every betrayal, and still found a way to keep going. And while they're busy fooling themselves into thinking they've moved on, you're here, learning from every scar, growing stronger from every wound. You're not a victim, you're a survivor. Every tear you've shed, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt, those are the pieces that make you whole. They don't have that, and they never will. They're too busy living in their illusions, pretending like nothing ever phases them. But you're real. You're raw. You're everything they can't handle. So, yeah, they'll look for you in everyone they meet, hoping to find a spark of what they once had with you. They'll search in strangers' eyes, in empty conversations, trying to feel something that's long gone. And every time they come up empty, they'll feel that pang of regret, that cold reminder of what they lost. That's the price they pay for treating you like you didn't matter. That's the consequence of taking someone like you for granted. And as they sit there, haunted by what they threw away, you're gonna rise. You're gonna take all that pain, all that anger, and turn it into something they'll never recognize. You're gonna become someone they can't even reach. Someone they'll be terrified of facing again. 'Cause you'll be everything they're too afraid to be. You'll be the proof that they couldn't break you, no matter how hard they tried. And don't think for a second that you need anyone's approval. You don't need validation from people who left when things got hard. You don't need love from the ones who only knew how to love you when it was convenient. You're stronger than their expectations, bigger than their judgments. You're the one they'll remember, the one they'll talk about when they're alone, wondering what happened to the only person who ever gave a damn. So let them wonder, let them regret, let them live with the shadow of you hanging over every relationship they try to build. 'Cause you're beyond that now. You don't need them. You never did. They needed you. And now they're left with the hole they dug themselves. And you're gonna take every ounce of pain they left you with, every bit of sadness, and turn it into power. You're gonna make something beautiful out of the mess they tried to bury you in. And one day, they'll look at you, and they won't even recognize the person you've become. They'll see strength, resilience, courage, a force they could never understand. They'll see the person they left behind, the person they thought was weak, and they'll realize they were wrong. They'll see someone who rose from the ashes they left, someone who became unstoppable in the face of every betrayal, every loss, every single heartbreak. And you'll look back, and you'll realize you don't need any of them. You'll see that every time they tried to break you, they were just handing you the tools to build yourself back stronger. You'll see that their weakness, their fear, their emptiness was never yours to carry. And in that moment, you'll understand what real power is. Real power is standing on your own, not needing anyone to validate your worth, knowing that you're enough just as you are. You ever really look at yourself? I mean, take a good, hard look in the mirror. See those eyes? Those scars? That's proof you've survived what most people wouldn't even try to handle. That's proof that you've got something real inside you. Something that can't be replaced. But you don't believe it, do you? You're sitting here thinking that maybe you're the one who's broken, that maybe you're the one who wasn't enough. But let me tell you something, and you better listen close. You're more than enough. You're more than they ever deserved. They just didn't have the guts to face someone as real as you. Someone who didn't play by their shallow, twisted rules. So they left, yeah. They left thinking they'd find someone easier, someone who didn't challenge them, someone who'd let them live in their cozy little illusions. But you saw through it. You saw right through their lies, their games, and they couldn't handle it. That's the real reason they left, you know. It wasn't 'cause you weren't enough. It was 'cause you were too much honesty, too much loyalty, too much strength. They didn't know what to do with someone who wasn't afraid to face the darkness. Someone who looked at pain and said, I can take it. So don't you dare sit here thinking you were the problem. You weren't. You were the lesson they were too afraid to learn. And now they're out there searching for someone who'll fill that emptiness they carry. They'll go from person to person, hoping to find a cheap replacement. Someone who doesn't make them feel like they're coming up short, but every time they look into someone else's eyes, they'll see your reflection staring back at them, reminding them of what they threw away. They'll see you in the quiet moments, in the lonely nights, haunting them like a ghost they can't shake. That's your power, kid. That's the power of being unforgettable. You think they can just erase you? Pretend like you were just another name on their list? Nah. You're the one who's gonna linger, who's gonna live rent-free in their mind, reminding them of every mistake they made. And while they're stuck in the past, chasing after shadows, you're gonna be here, turning that pain into something real, something they could never touch. See, they thought they broke you. They thought they left you for dead. But they didn't realize that every time they hurt you, every time they pushed you down, they were just making you stronger. They were teaching you how to survive without him, how to build yourself back up from scratch. And now look at you. You're still standing, still breathing, still fighting. That's what they'll never understand. They'll never know what it's like to go through hell and come out the other side, scarred, but alive. So wear those scars like armor. Let them be a reminder of everything you've been through, everything you've survived. Let them see that you're not ashamed of your past, that you're not afraid of your pain. You've been torn apart, but you've pieced yourself back together, stronger and sharper than ever. And that's something they can't take away. That's the part of you that'll keep going long after they faded into nothing. And one day, they're gonna realize what they lost. They're gonna look at their life and see the emptiness they carry, the void they'll never fill. They're gonna look back and see the person who stood by them when no one else did, the person who fought for them when everyone else walked away. And they'll hate themselves for letting you slip through their fingers. They'll hate themselves for not seeing what they had when it was right in front of them. But by then, you'll be untouchable. You'll be out there, living your life, turning every bit of their betrayal into fuel. You'll be out there, changing the game, proving to yourself and everyone else that you're more than they could ever handle. You don't need them, you never did. They were just a chapter, a lesson, a reminder of what you don't want to be. And now you're free. Free from their expectations, free from their judgments, free from their weakness. You're stronger than they'll ever be, 'cause you've seen the worst and still found a way to keep going. You've looked into the darkness, felt it in your bones, and decided to keep fighting anyway. And that makes you unstoppable. That makes you someone they'll never forget, someone they'll spend their whole lives trying to replace, but never will. So go out there, show them what you're made of. Take every bit of pain they left you with and turn it into something powerful, something real. Prove to yourself that you don't need anyone's approval, that you don't need anyone's love to be whole. You're enough, just as you are, scars and all. You're enough, and you always have been. They just couldn't see it. But now it's their loss, not yours. And if they ever come crawling back, begging for a second chance, remember this. They didn't see your worth when it mattered. They didn't stand by you when things got tough. So let them live with that regret. Let them feel the weight of every mistake they made. You don't owe them a damn thing. You're free, kid. You're free. And that's the sweetest revenge there is. They'll look for you in everyone they meet, hoping to find a glimpse of what they lost. But they'll never find it. They'll never find you again. And that's their punishment, their sentence, their curse. While you're gonna rise, stronger and brighter than ever, a force they'll never understand. And that's all you need. That's all you'll ever need. You're still hanging on to a shred of that doubt, aren't you? That tiny little voice whispering that maybe it was your fault. Maybe you should have been different, smaller, easier to handle. But let me ask you this. When was the last time someone actually appreciated you for all that fire inside you? When was the last time someone looked at you and saw the real you? The one who doesn't back down, the one who's been through hell and still stands tall? You keep bending yourself to fit their mold, trying to be what they want. But let me tell you something. They'll never appreciate you. Not like that. They'll only see what they're too afraid to be themselves. They'll look at you and see all the strength they lack, all the bravery they pretend to have, but can't touch, and it terrifies them. So they'll try to cut you down, make you feel like you're the one who's broken, like you're the problem, but you're not. The real problem is that they can't handle someone who's not afraid to live, to feel, to care. They can't handle someone who refuses to be as hollow as they are. That's why they left. That's why they'll keep leaving, looking for someone who won't remind them of everything they're too scared to face. They'll run and run, but every time they look into someone else's eyes, they'll see you looking right back. They'll see all the loyalty they'll never get again, all the love they'll never feel, all the fire they let slip through their fingers. And that'll eat them alive. That'll be their shadow, following them wherever they go. But you don't need them. You don't need anyone who can't see what you bring to the table. You're the one with the scars, the stories, the strength that most people only dream of. You're the one who's learned how to turn pain into power, betrayal into strength, loss into fire. They don't have that, and they never will. And that's why they'll keep searching, keep chasing, keep running after something they'll never find. They'll go through life trying to replace you, thinking they can fill that empty space with someone new. But every time, they'll come up short. Every time, they'll feel that gnawing emptiness, that ache they can't shake. They'll look into someone else's eyes, hoping to feel a fraction of what they felt with you, and they'll be met with nothing but silence, nothing but the ghost of you, haunting them with every step, reminding them of everything they threw away. And you're gonna be out there, living your life, building yourself up piece by piece, getting stronger with every step. You're not gonna waste another second worrying about people who didn't have the courage to stand by you. You're not gonna break yourself down to fit into their small, shallow world. You're bigger than that. You're better than that. You're the one who gets to walk away with your head held high, knowing that you gave everything you had, that you fought with every ounce of your heart. So let them feel that regret. Let them live with the choices they made, the bridges they burned, the love they lost. Let them sit there years from now, wondering what happened to the only person who ever gave a damn, the only person who ever stood by them when the world turned its back. And let that be your power. Let that be your strength, because you're more than their regrets. You're more than their mistakes. You're a storm they'll never outrun. Think about it. Think about every time you felt like you weren't enough. Every time they made you feel small. Every time you doubted your own worth. Now realize this. You were always more than they could handle. You were always bigger than the cage they tried to put you in. And now you're free. Free to be exactly who you are, scars and all, without apologizing for it. Free to live your life without the weight of their expectations dragging you down. And someday, when they're sitting there, alone, thinking about all the faces that came and went, they'll realize that nobody else ever filled that space you left. They'll remember the way you cared, the way you fought, the way you stood by them, even when it cost you everything. They'll realize that what they lost was real, was rare, was something they'll never find again. And that's your victory. That's your revenge. But here's the best part. You don't need to wait for that day. You don't need their regret, their apologies, their tears. You're stronger than their sorry excuses, tougher than their empty promises. You're the one who gets to walk away with your dignity intact, with your head held high, knowing that you gave it all, that you were real in a world full of fakes. And that's all you'll ever need. So don't you dare look back. Don't you waste another second wondering if you were enough. You were more than enough. You were a fire they couldn't handle, a storm they couldn't weather. And now you're free to burn as bright as you want, free to be everything they tried to hold back. They'll look for you in everyone they meet, hoping to find a hint of what they lost, but they'll never find it. They'll never find you again. And that's the sweetest revenge there is. That's the power of being unforgettable. So go out there, live your life, be as big, as bold, as unstoppable as you want to be. Show them what they lost and never look back.